often forget that beauty can grow from the simplest things, from objects considered useless, from empty bottles that we usually just throw away. Welcome to Teraflora Studio, a place where creativity meets serenity and waste becomes art. In this video, we'll take you on a slow walk through an idea garden filled with 17 incredible summer garden DIY inspirations, all made from recycled bottles. Every project is a story about the courage to create, about choosing to slow down, look around, and say, maybe this could still be something beautiful. You'll find ideas that you can truly make your own. No special skills, no complicated equipment, just persistence, warm time, and the goodwill to revisit what has been deemed useless. And if you like this kind of vibe, calm, simple, and full of meaning, then let us invite you to press the subscribe button. That way, you'll be with us, celebrating the beauty of simple things in every episode to come. Now, let's start this journey, a garden of bottles, and an imagination that is never thrown away. You don't need marble gates or iron arches to make an entrance magical. Sometimes, all it takes is a handful of discarded bottles, a bit of string, and a vision stitched from memory and morning light. Imagine stepping into your garden through a curtain of soft color. Bottles hang delicately from a simple wooden frame, swaying ever so slightly in the summer wind. Some are tinted mint or rose, others left clear, catching glints of the rising sun. A few cradle stems of freshly picked wildflowers, lavender, foxglove, even a rebellious daisy or two. As you pass beneath, they chime gently, not with sound, but with light and shadow. This bottle archway is not perfection, it's poetry. It welcomes the imperfections in every crackled cap and uneven line. And yet, when you stand beneath it, there's a hush. Not silence, but pause. The kind of moment where even the wind waits, and your breath seems to match the rhythm of the earth. Making one is as humble as it sounds. Use an old wooden arch or even two tall stakes tied with twine at the top. Then collect bottles. Plastic, light enough to dance with every breeze. Punch holes through the caps, thread them with fishing line or garden twine, and hang them at staggered lengths. For an added touch, tuck herbs or dry stems into their mouths. Some folks even write little garden wishes on paper and roll them inside, giving the archway the feel of a living spell. No paint is needed. Let the natural translucence of the bottles be your stained glass. Let the garden decide the colors, the shadows, the life that grows around it. As time passes, the archway won't stay pristine. Cobwebs may gather, dust may dull the shine, but in that change, in that slow weathering, it becomes part of the garden, not separate from it. It's not just a decorative entry, it's a signal of care, creativity, and presence. A reminder that beauty doesn't always arrive with a receipt. Sometimes, it clinks gently in the wind, made from yesterday's trash, guiding you toward today's quiet joy. Some garden pieces don't call for grandeur. They call for quiet patience and a willingness to see beauty in layers. The succulent totem is just that. A soft-spoken sculpture rising from the soil, built not from brick or marble, but from the broken ring of discarded bottles and the thick green resilience of plants that ask so little but give so much. It begins with the base. Bottles, large, small, mismatched, are trimmed at their necks and bottoms. You stack the hollow rings gently, one over the other, securing them with a central rod or wooden stake for balance. Between each layer, a cradle of soil. Around each rim, life begins to nestle. The tower slowly takes shape, not in haste, but in rhythm. You run your hand across the side. The paint on the bottles isn't perfect. Smudges of terracotta, sage, muted lilac. But under the sun, they glow like softened pottery. And then the green, oh the green. Succulents hug the edges. Rosettes of echeveria blushing faint purple. Sedum spilling like a cascade. Tiny hens and chicks rooting in crevices where dust once gathered. From above, it looks like a spiral of breath of careful chaos. This isn't just a vertical garden. It's a sculpture of reuse, an ode to patience. It asks nothing but water, sun, and attention. Even a small balcony or patch of concrete can host it. And in dry seasons or rainy days, it stands firm, anchored not in perfection, but in presence. Children love to trace the spiral. Gardeners pause to admire the unlikely combination, trash and tenderness. And the bees, the butterflies, they visit too, drawn by the quiet burst of color, the shelter of petals, the water that gathers increases after rain. To make your own, use sharp scissors, strong outdoor adhesive or rods, and plastic bottles of varying sizes. Test the balance first, then build upward. Choose succulents that forgive. Jade, sedum, crassula. Paint softly or leave the plastic bare. Let the garden finish the look. You don't need wealth or a greenhouse. You need your hands, a few bottles, and the will to turn what was thrown away into something that holds life. In this totem, made of nothing new, everything grows again. Some paths don't need to be paved with stone or edged with ornate brick. Sometimes, the softest journey is traced by pastel dreams pressed gently into the earth. In one quiet corner of your garden, a winding trail emerges. Not grand, but welcoming. Not sharp, but sweet. This is the pastel bottle fence, a whispered boundary that guides, not guards. Starts, as always, with what others throw away. Plastic bottles in every shape and curve, saved from bins and given a second glance. You cut away the tops, leaving smooth domes behind. Then comes the transformation, not in structure, but in color. Mint green, rose blush, sky blue, buttercream yellow, soft lilac. Each one painted by hand, their brushstrokes visible in the morning sun. Pressed into the soil beside the path, they line the walkway like a ribbon of light. They don't shout, they hum. They catch the day's glow, scattering it like soft laughter across the garden bed. When you walk here, you notice more, the way the grass bends around the border, how the petals of wild daisies reach toward the painted curve of plastic. A bee lands on one mint cap, pauses and drifts away. Children instinctively reach out. Their fingers trail across the tops, tapping gently, bottle to bottle, like a melody played in motion. The fence isn't perfectly aligned. Some bottles lean, others tilt with age, but it doesn't matter. It's alive. It responds. It grows more charming as time passes. Making one is refreshingly simple. Gather clean bottles, same height or a mix for rhythm. Paint with acrylics or outdoor-safe pigments. Press each bottle halfway into the soil, shoulder to shoulder, letting the curve peak above ground. Let the colors alternate in soft waves or blend like a watercolor sky. This kind of DIY doesn't just change a space, it changes how you see it. A plain path becomes a painted invitation. A turn in the trail becomes a moment to smile. And the garden itself becomes less about control, more about conversation between nature, hand, and heart. The pastel fence doesn't need to impress. It needs only to guide you home. And maybe, just maybe, remind you that even the smallest steps can be beautiful. In the quiet pulse of a backyard garden, where bees murmur and snapdragons lean with purpose, something playful spins in the air, bottle cap wind spinners, simple and radiant, catching the breeze like joy itself. They don't need electricity, instructions, or expensive parts. They need only the wind, a little color, and your hands. Each spinner starts from a forgotten top, those lids from soda bottles, juice jugs, water containers. Once tossed aside, now reborn in color. Sunflower yellow, cherry red, sky blue, and jade. Some wear stripes, others dots. A few are simply brushed in solid hues. All of them hum in the wind, spinning on slender rods like tiny bursts of motion. They move with grace, not the perfect, programmed spin of a toy store gadget, but the uneven rhythm of something real. One flutters, another twirls endlessly, another pauses between gusts. Each has its own personality, and together, they bring laughter to the garden. Children run through them with outstretched hands, giggling as they race to catch the spin. Birds pause to watch, curious, Even you, mid-weeding or watering, find yourself smiling as the sun glints off their swirling wings. Making them is almost as fun as watching them. Collect plastic bottle caps, soft ones are easier to cut. Slice into petal shapes using sharp scissors, then bend the blades outward. Paint them however your heart likes. Mount each on a stick using wire or a pushpin through the center into a cork or wooden bead. Then plant them in soft soil, flower pots, or along pathways. These wind spinners aren't trying to be elegant. They're trying to be joyful. They give the garden something to say, a cheerful hello with every gust. And they don't need to last forever. Some will fade in the sun, some will crack after rain. That's part of their charm. Like blossoms, they appear, spin, and eventually give way to something new. But while they last, they're a reminder that movement brings life, that color lifts the soul, and that even the humblest bottle cap can be a celebration waiting to spin. So let the wind come. Let it turn your garden into a playful waltz of soundless color. Let your imagination take the first twirl. Beneath the arching branches of an old plum tree, beside the clay pots filled with basil and mint, stands a table that doesn't boast, it invites. A quiet surface bathed in color, alive with light and texture, made not from stone or glass, but from the remnants of yesterday's bottles. A mosaic born of waste, turned into wonder. Its top shimmers under sunlight, shards of plastic once used and forgotten, now reborn into blooms and spirals. There are blush-colored petals forming a rose at the center. Around it, mint green leaves curl outward, touching edges of dusty lavender and amber gold. Each piece is imperfect, some scratched, some cloudy, yet together, they form a picture more soulful than anything polished. To create one is an act of care. Bottles are cut, not with anger, but with patience. Their curves become petals. Their colors, often overlooked in their former life, now take center stage. They're set in a layer of grout on an old wooden table, pressed one by one like words into a poem. The mosaic does more than hold your teacup. It holds stories. Perhaps the pink shard once held strawberry soda at a birthday party. Maybe the blue fragment fell from a recycling bin near the market. Their past lives don't matter now. What matters is how they've been transformed. The table isn't just art. It's practical, too. Waterproof, easy to wipe clean, and strong enough to support pots, plates, or a resting elbow during long conversations. And though it glows beneath the sun, it softens under shade, echoing the quiet of a garden in bloom. If you wish to make your own, begin with a weather table, wood, metal, or concrete. Collect clean bottles in soft shades. Cut them into pieces using sturdy scissors or a heated blade. Lay them out on the surface to test the flow of pattern. Then secure them with outdoor-safe adhesive, sealing them in grout once dry. Don't worry about perfection. Let your hands shape the beauty. Sit beside it often. Let your tea cool slowly there. Watch the bees circle nearby blooms. And remember, when you place something broken into a pattern of meaning, it becomes more than useful, it becomes sacred. There's a corner in every garden that wants to hide. Just a little. Not to be forgotten, but to be discovered. And if you listen to the leaves, feel the hush of shade at midday, you'll find it. A tucked-away place behind a curtain of color made from things once thrown away. The rainbow garden curtain is a simple spell. Strips of sunlight captured in bottle bottoms, each one trimmed, polished, and strung like glass beads on invisible thread. Hung between two branches or weathered wooden posts, the pieces form a gentle veil. Red beside amber, green beside sapphire, violet tucked between yellow and clear. They move with the wind, not a roar, but a breath. Their colors shimmer like stained glass on a breeze. And as light filters through, it paints the path beneath in dancing shadows. Flickers of flame, ripples of water, scattered joy. Behind the curtain, a bench waits. Overhead, honeysuckle climbs. Nearby, ivy curls around a half-forgotten frame. This is the garden's pause, a breath between blooms. Creating one is soothing. Save the bottoms of bottles, preferably the ones with delicate flower-like ridges. Cut them smooth. Wash, dry, and paint them if you like, or let their original hues speak. Drill small holes and string them onto fishing line, thin wire, or even twine. Tie the strands to a stick, a beam, or branches of a tree. Layer the colors randomly or in rhythm. Let the lengths vary. Let the garden finish the composition. Children will part the curtain like explorers. Guests will peek through and smile. And you'll sit behind it one day, a book in your lap, a mug in hand, and watch as the world quiets down. This curtain doesn't keep anything out. It invites everything in. Butterflies, stories, late daylight, separates nothing. Instead, it creates anticipation for what lies just beyond. And like most things made from what's left behind, it speaks softly, of patience, of care, of beauty that asks nothing but to be noticed. So hang the curtain, let it dance, let it shade the things you love. And may your garden always have a corner that feels like a secret meant only for you. Day sighs into evening and the last warmth of sun lingers on your garden wall. The air thickens with jasmine and stillness, and that's when they begin to glow. The lantern bottles swaying like softened stars caught in glass, hung carefully from low branches, old shepherd hooks, or arched wires. These bottles no longer carry water or soda. Instead, they cradle flame and wonder. Some are painted in emerald and rose, their colors deepening in the dusk. Others are left bare, the flame within casting a quiet amber through time-worn curves. They do not blaze, they breathe. A soft flicker here, a gentle pulse there. As the light fades, they awaken the garden in a new way. Shadows stretch slowly across mint and stone. Ivy curls tighter around the posts. Moths wander close, drawn not by heat, but by a promise of gentleness. To create them, you don't need perfection. You need presence. Wash your bottles, tall and short, smooth or ridged. Use strong wire to wrap the neck or thread through drilled holes. Place a small tea light inside, a real one for ceremony, a warm bulb for safety. If the bottle mouth is too narrow, use a cut bottle half or paint only the outside. Hang them unevenly. Let gravity and breeze compose the poetry. In the soft hush of evening, you'll see what they give. Not brightness, but calm. They ask you to linger a little longer, to pour one more cup of tea, to rest your tools and listen to the cicadas begin their song. These lanterns aren't just garden lights. They are memory keepers. Each bottle once forgotten now holds a piece of twilight, a mood, a peace, a story passed between the fading sun and the whispering leaves. Guests may comment on them, how magical, how clever, but the real magic is quieter. It's in how the garden feels when they glow. Softer, older, held. So hang your bottles before the sun sets. Let the garden exhale through them. And as you walk beneath their gentle light, you may find you no longer need the stars to guide you home. You've made your own. Not every garden stretches wide. Some bloom upward, gently climbing the sun-warmed wall of a shed, a fence, or even a forgotten corner of your balcony. And in these vertical spaces, made not for grandeur but for function and grace, plastic bottles bloom again. This time as vessels of flavor and life. The vertical herb wall is part sculpture, part pantry, part daily ritual. Each bottle, once emptied and overlooked, is cut carefully, curved side up. A small notch allows water to escape. Soil presses in, and from this humble container rises basil, thyme, mint, and edible blossoms with names that read like poetry, borage, marjoram, lemon balm. The bottles are spaced neatly on wooden planks or nailed directly into sunlit fences. Some are painted in sage green or soft peach. Others are left clear, letting you see the roots curl and settle. Bees hum close, drawn by the flowers of the herbs. Butterflies pause on the rim of chamomile. And in the morning, the Dew collects on their surfaces like glass beads strung through time. To make your own, begin with clean bottles. Slice a window along the side, leaving the bottom and neck intact. Poke small drainage holes underneath. Fill with rich soil and tuck in your seedlings or seeds. Use strong wire, nails, or twine to attach each bottle horizontally along a frame, spacing them just enough for the leaves to stretch. Add handwritten labels. Let them weather. Let them speak. The result is more than tidy rows of green. It's a wall that breathes, a patch of space that offers tea for the evening, garnish for your meal, medicine for your throat. Even in a narrow alley or tiny balcony, this garden climbs, quiet, patient, alive. Children can pick a sprig, guests will lean in to smell, and you'll brush your fingers across soft leaves and feel something shift, something return. This is gardening not in acres, but in inches, yet each inch is filled with meaning. In the rustle of leaves and trickle of water, the bottles make no sound, but they tell you something essential. Even the smallest space, when tended with love and reuse, can grow enough to nourish more than just the body. It feeds the spirit too. Tucked beside the roots of time and shaded beneath roses heavy with bloom, there stands a house no taller than your knees. It isn't a toy, nor merely decoration. It's a dream in miniature, a fairy house, sculpted from cast-offs, cement, bottle, paint, and patience. A structure that invites imagination to take root right next to your carrots and cosmos. Its body once held soda. Now it wears a skin of sanded cement, shaped lovingly by hand into soft curves. The roof slopes gently, painted moss green with touches of lavender. Pebbles edge its doorway. A twisted twig serves as a chimney. Tiny windows peek from the sides, not perfectly shaped, but glowing with personality. It doesn't shout, "Look at me." It whispers, it nestles, and when the wind moves through the garden, petals drift to its doorstep as if by design. Children crouch beside it to whisper secrets. Adults pause, caught off guard by its charm. Even the cat walks around it carefully, as though aware it belongs to something unseen. To build one is to remember the joy of small things. Start with a plastic bottle, sturdy and clean. Cut it to the desired height. Mix up a cement blend with a bit of sand. Thick enough to hold form but soft enough to sculpt. Layer it gently around the bottle, smoothing it with gloved fingers. Add details with found objects, stones, bark, shells, buttons. Use your fingers or the tip of a spoon to carve windows, doorways, even shingles if you wish. Once dry, paint softly. Earth tones work best. Dusty rose, moss, cream, cloud blue. Set it somewhere the garden can embrace it. Under a bush, by the mint patch, or nestled beneath ivy. Let it age. Let it gather lichen and sun and time. The house is not meant to be perfect. It is meant to belong to the space, to the season, to the story. And in its tiny presence, something stirs in the garden. Not magic exactly, but memory. A sense that not everything beautiful must be grand or useful. Some things exist simply to make us smile, to invite a pause, to suggest a world just out of sight. So kneel, place it carefully, then step back. Let the fairies find their way. In a garden that runs by the rhythm of birdsong and breeze, time feels different, softer, slower. Here, there are no alarms, only shadows that stretch, blossoms that open, and a clock made not for ticking minutes, but for savoring them. Mounted on a weathered wooden plank, this garden clock doesn't glint with glass or gleam with gears. Instead, it blooms with bottle caps, 12 of them, each painted in its own hue. A warm sunflower yellow at 6 o'clock, soft lavender at 3, forest green at 10. The colors don't scream, they sing, quietly, in harmony with the vines that curl nearby, the moss that climbs the edges. Each cap is different, scratched, bent, imperfect, and yet, together, they form a circle of presence, not just marking time, but holding it, reminding you that beauty lives in small moments stitched from reuse and remembrance. To craft one, start with a board, something aged and soft, like a salvaged piece from an old crate or fence. Arrange your caps in a circle, securing each one with nails or glue. Add clock hands, metal, wood, or even repurposed twigs, and mount a simple mechanism behind. If you like, hand paint the caps with symbols instead of numbers. Herbs, leaves, stars, raindrops. Mount the clock somewhere the sun touches but doesn't overwhelm. A shaded garden wall, a shed, or beside your outdoor table. Watch as it catches the light differently through the day. See the shadows creep from one cap to the next, as if time itself is strolling through the garden with you. It won't chime, it won't glow in the dark, but it will hold space for stillness. It will remind you that 10 minutes spent smelling mint or watching bees is not time lost. It is time lived. And perhaps most beautifully, this clock will change. The caps may fade, the wood may crack, ivy may claim a corner, but in that slow evolution, it becomes a part of the garden itself. Not a keeper of time, but a companion to it. So build it not to measure your day, but to soften it. Let it be a circle of color, of care, and of quiet joy. A clock that tells the time, yes, but more importantly, tells a story. Underfoot, a story unfolds. One not written in ink or told in words, but shaped in stone and color, capped in memory. A garden path leads you not just through blossoms and beds, but over butterflies, not fluttering above, but resting below. Mosaic wings pressed into stepping stones, catching light, catching joy. Each butterfly begins with a shape, poured in cement or carved into old pavers. Its wings stretch wide, welcoming feet, rain, and time. And in those wings, bottle caps, not chosen for uniformity, but for variety. A sky blue Pepsi lid, a cracked red soda top, a yellow from something long forgotten. Together, they become more than trash. They become stained glass for the ground. They don't match. That's their magic. One stone holds blues and greens in a soft swirl. Another blooms with pink and lavender, like a sunset paused mid-flight. The paths they create are not straight, but winding, playful, inviting visitors to hop, pause, step gently. Children love them. They leap from one to the next, their laughter echoing as butterflies bloom beneath their shoes. Gardeners crouch beside them to admire a pattern, a color, a cap they hadn't noticed last week. And the real butterflies, those with wings and breath, hover overhead, as if in conversation with their mirrored kin. To craft your own, start with cement stepping stones, pre-made or poured fresh in shallow molds. Draw your butterfly shape first with chalk or a stick, then press clean bottle caps into the surface before the cement sets. Arrange them as wings, one color for the edges, another for the inner glow, or simply let chaos lead. Seal the surface once dry for longevity. Lay them along your path or between garden beds. Watch how the morning light finds them, how the rain polishes them, how the dirt softens their shine, but never dims their joy. These stepping stones are more than decorative. They are landmarks of love, for reuse, for rhythm, for quiet surprises. They remind us that every step we take can be toward beauty, even if the materials beneath us once lined a landfill. And as you walk the path, your heels tapping gently over butterfly wings, you might feel it too. The flutter not just beneath your feet, but in your heart. In the hush beneath a flowering tree, where the bees drift slower and petals fall like forgotten thoughts, a bench waits, not carved from mahogany, not polished into showroom shine, but humble, honest, and filled with quiet wonder. This is the bottle bench. Its frame is simple wood, maybe salvaged from an old pallet or fence, but what sets it apart lies within its spine. Instead of solid planks or sterile plastic, the back and base are lined with bottles, clear, reused, each one filled with sand. Not just sand, but color, layers of it, coral and mustard, teal and lavender, a soft ripple of earth and hue, frozen in glass like miniature landscapes. No two bottles are the same. One holds horizontal waves, neat and soothing. Another spills slightly sideways, like a gust of wind captured mid-pour. Some colors are bold, others faded, and a few contain flecks of shells or dried herbs. Secrets caught in stillness. Sit here and time shifts. Your hand brushes the bottle edge, warm from sun. The sand inside doesn't move, but your thoughts do. You watch shadows slip across the painted grains. You hear the garden breathe. The buzz of bees, the creak of stems, the distant flap of wings. To build one, you need patience, not perfection. Choose sturdy bottles, same height if you want symmetry, varied if you like rhythm. Use dry-colored sand, or tint your own with chalk or powdered paint. Pour the layers slowly through a funnel. Tap the bottle gently as you go to settle each line. Seal the top tightly. Mount them between wooden rails using clamps, notches, or even wire netting. Let the bottles run the length of the backrest, or line the front like a gallery of grounded light. The bench won't just seat you. It will hold your pause, your breath, your need to notice. This is no ordinary bench. It doesn't shout for attention. But when someone finds it, drawn by its softness, its story, they'll stay longer than they meant to. And when they leave, they'll carry something with them. The memory of color and stillness, of waste turned warm, of a seat that didn't just support the body, but soothed the soul. Down low, just above the dark scent of soil and the patient stretch of basil stems, something cheerful blooms, not from seed, but from scrap. A cluster of tiny blossoms not grown, but made. Each one holds a name, a purpose, a story. These are the bottle cap labels, humble guardians of your garden's memory. Each is a flower in its own right. A bottle cap becomes the center, painted in sun-kissed yellow, soft rose, or mint green. Around it, petals are cut from old plastic lids or shaped from thick craft scraps. Petals imperfect, some wide, some narrow, all full of charm. The names curl sweetly across the center. Lavender, oregano, sage. Some are neatly printed. Others curve in a child's uneven scrawl. You wander the garden and find your way by these gentle signs. You no longer wonder if that's thyme or marjoram. You smile. You remember the morning you and your children sat at the kitchen table, painting caps, giggling over which color should be parsley. Making them is as easy as letting your hands remember play. Clean bottle caps are your base. Acrylic paint brings them to life. Permanent markers or waterproof pens preserve the names through rain and sun. You can glue petals around the edges, cut from old folders, packaging, or even other bottle caps sliced into crescent shapes. Mount them onto popsicle sticks, chopsticks, or wooden skewers, and press gently into the soil beside each plant. They move slightly in the breeze. They catch dew in their ridges. Bees sometimes land on them, mistaking the color for bloom. But most importantly, they guide. Not just your eyes, but your heart, reminding you this garden is handmade, held together not by perfection, but by care. And over time, they weather. A name may fade, a petal might crack, but don't throw them out. Touch them up, add a new layer of paint. Let them age with the herbs they guard. Because in these bottle cap blossoms, what grows is more than just chives and dill. What grows is attention, reuse, quiet joy, and a visible reminder that even the smallest bit of waste can bloom again, if we only give it a name and a place to grow. In the quietest nook of the garden, where lavender brushes stone and ivy climbs in slow spirals, a mirror rests. Not just a mirror to see yourself, but a mirror to see the garden twice. Once as it is and once as it wishes to be. Its frame glows with color, but not from polished glass or ornate tile. Instead, it shimmers with the irregular edges of broken bottle shards. Greens and blues, amber and ruby, gently pressed into place like wild jewels rediscovered. Around the edges, bottle caps bloom like forgotten blossoms. It doesn't match. It sings. The light strikes it gently in the morning, fracturing across the petals and bouncing into the leaves nearby. In that moment, you're not just standing in your garden, you're inside a painting. The bees hum around your knees. The scent of rosemary and rain-misted soil wraps around you. And there in the mirror's glass, a child bends to smell a flower. A cat stretches. A breeze moves the tendrils of jasmine like fingers turning a page. This mirror isn't flawless. The reflections are soft, the surface modeled, but that's the beauty. It invites not vanity, but presence. It reminds you to look, not at yourself, but around you, at what you might have missed, at what's already perfect in its imperfection. To make one, begin with an old mirror, thrifted or rescued. Clean the edges, then mix outdoor grout or adhesive. Shards of bottle plastic can be cut with sharp scissors or snapped gently into pieces. Press them into the adhesive, forming spirals, sunbursts, or simple scattered clusters. Add caps here and there, painted or natural, layered like tiny sculptures. Let dry, seal if needed. Nestle your mosaic mirror into a garden corner. Lean it against a wall or mount it low, where it might catch a child's gaze or reflect the first blush of morning light. And when it rains, let the droplets trace down its face like memory. Let dirt gather in its edges. Let the years change its glow. Because the mirror is not here to be admired. It is here to offer another way of seeing. A way to remember that waste can frame wonder. That the garden is already whole, and so are you. At the edge of the garden, where gravel gives way to bloom, stands a gate. Not heavy, not grand, but tender. A quiet threshold built not from iron or oak, but from things forgotten. Clear and colored plastic bottles, fitted together like stories told in fragments, now form an entrance to something softer. The bottles shimmer gently, emeralds beside frost, hints of sapphire beneath the vine. Each one interlocked with its neighbor, held by wire or thin slats of wood, forming a pattern not rigid but rhythmic. Some remain untouched, their curves catching light. Others are brushed in pale paints, weathered by sun and time. They do not match, but they belong. A rose brushes one edge of the frame, its petals whispering against the plastic. Ivy creeps up the other, curling around the necks and seams. Birds sometimes perch atop, cocking their heads as if to ask permission to pass. And when you step through, something in you slows. To build it is to tell yourself you're allowed to begin simply. Choose bottles of similar shape, but not necessarily the same. Clean them well, cut or notch them as needed, threading one into the next or securing them with wire loops around a slender frame. You might use a lightweight wooden grid or even an old screen door as a foundation. Add handles made from bent twigs, or let the bottles themselves form the curve of a grip. You'll be surprised at how strong it feels, how something so delicate can hold space with such grace. When it sways in the breeze, it doesn't creak. It rustles, a sound somewhere between wind and grass and memory. The gate doesn't guard. It invites. It doesn't close you out. It welcomes you in. And more than that, it changes what lies behind it. On one side, there is the world. On the other, the garden. But truly, both are part of the same whole, connected by this small act of reuse, a beauty born not from purchase, but from persistence. When you pass through, do so slowly. Let your hand rest on a sun-warmed bottle. Feel the rough wire, the smooth neck, and know that even here, at the threshold, something lovely is waiting. Lined along the patio, where stone meets soil and rosemary leans lazily in the sun, the flower pots sit, not in rows but in rhythm. Each one bears the weight of herbs and geraniums, but look closer and you'll find a crown of color wrapping each rim. Tiny fragments, bright edges, mosaic dreams made from broken bottles. These pots don't match. One is chipped, another tilts slightly, but their edges gleam. Shards of plastic, cut carefully from old bottles, painted or left translucent, curve around the rims like scattered petals. Coral next to jade, lavender beside pearl, triangles, rough rectangles, curved slices softened by time and care. In the morning, the light kisses them first. They glint, casting specks of color onto the patio stones. Children crouch beside them to trace their fingers along the cool plastic. Gardeners pause before watering, just to admire the texture, the effort, the story. Making them is an act of quiet transformation. Gather your old plastic bottles, those with color, pattern, or clarity. Cut them into small shapes no larger than a fingernail. Sand the edges if you prefer softness. Then take your pot, ceramic, clay, plastic, and spread a band of outdoor adhesive or grout around the top. Press in the shards like you're planting seeds of color. Let them settle. Let the garden finish the arrangement. Some frames will be full bloom, bright reds and sunflower yellow. Others will feel like dusk, deep blue, smoky green, hints of blush. They change with the light, and when it rains, they shimmer beneath the drops, like glass beads strung from sky to soil. Inside the pots, life grows unbothered. Basil unfurls wide leaves. Time threads itself like lace. The color below doesn't compete, it lifts. It reminds the plants they are held, adorned, honored. Over time, some pieces may loosen. The grout may crack, but don't see it as ruin. See it as rhythm. Patch, repaint, replace. Let your mosaic evolve with the seasons. These pots are not just containers. They are vessels of return, of reimagined waste and careful hands. They don't ask for attention, but they offer it back. Every time you pass, they whisper, "You made me, and now I hold beauty." Just beyond the thyme and lavender, where the garden hum quiets into breath, something winds low to the ground. It doesn't shout for attention. It beckons with a curve, soft, shimmering, playful. Tunnel, not carved from wood or shaped by steel, but formed from clear plastic bottles linked like beads of joy. Pathway not just through space, but through imagination. To an adult, it's a garden feature, but to a child, it's a wormhole, fairy route, a secret trail lit by sun and possibility. The bottles, once discarded, now form a translucent arch that shimmers when the breeze moves. Some are tinted faint blue or green. Others remain clear, showing the crawling knees, the curious hands, the laughing faces that pass through them. They clink gently when touched. They sparkle under noon sun. Dried leaves stick to their curves. A ladybug pauses on a cap. And if you listen, really listen, you'll hear more than play. You'll hear discovery. Crafting one begins with simple collection bottles in all sizes. They're trimmed and cleaned, bottoms removed so they become open cylinders. Then they're strung together with flexible wire or strong zip ties, linked tightly enough to form a long curve. Stake the ends into soil or wedge between flower beds. The structure is light, but the joy it carries is weighty. You might paint a few, pale pink, mint, lemon, or leave them clear, letting nature do the coloring. Add pressed leaf stickers or fill one or two with small trinkets. Dried petals, glitter, beads that catch the light like morning dew. When a child enters, they crouch, then crawl. They giggle, they squeal. The tunnel becomes their world. Even when they've run off, the bottles remain, arching over clover and thyme, a little sculpture of yesterday's game. And sometimes a cat will tiptoe through. A rabbit might pause at the edge. The garden doesn't mind. It accepts the tunnel as it does the wind or the bloom or the bee. Because in that simple arch lies a truth. Play doesn't need perfection. It needs possibility. And sometimes the best adventures begin not with new toys, but with old bottles and the space between two flower beds. And that's it. We have walked together from one inspiration to another. From bottles that were once lonely, they have now become markers of new life. A garden is no longer just a place to plant, but rather a mirror of the way we care for the world with heart. Every idea we discussed earlier is not just about crafts, but about the courage to give new meaning to simple things. A about making your house, yard, or even a small balcony as a play space between nature and imagination. This is where we believe that creativity does not have to be expensive, and beauty doesn't always come from the new. Thank you for spending time with us at Verto Studio. Hopefully each of these ideas can sow new enthusiasm in your garden and make space to slow down, calm down, and keep creating. If you feel warm, inspired, or maybe you just want to save an idea or two for later, then let us invite you to subscribe to this channel. No pressure, just a gentle invitation so we can meet again in the next videos with a new story, with new light, with hope that continues to grow. See you at another time where waste becomes meaningful again, and every leaf that falls is the beginning of something beautiful.